Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Independent Producers Organization live showcase. And we have my co-host has just filed for Portland mayor. So believe it or not, we're probably going to be talking about some of that stuff.
Well, why not? We're going to be recruiting too at the same time.
And not only do they know who you are, because it's right there on the thing. But, by the way, I'm Richard Carpenter. Put that in there, sideways.
Good. Well, hey, tell you what, why don't we start off first talking about Veterans Day, just kind of keeping up. We have Veterans Days. There was all sorts of activities during this particular, within the last 2 weeks for that matter. I mean, there were all sorts of activities. There were parades. There were all kinds of things. Just basically, again, reaching out from the population across the board from the standpoint of thanking for serving, right?
There were people really trying to show their thanks.
Yes,
That's the impression I got.
The business community was, the restaurants were all over the place, and I mean it was just it was a very, very neat time, if you will, to be able to look at all the activities that were around the vets, and you could see the change in the attitudes of folks and whatever. And if you notice, like the newspapers, for instance, I think the Oregonian and the whole lot, but the Tribune did it. I mean, wow, look at the volume. They did this volume here.
That was in the last Tribune.
Yeah, this is the last Tribune.
So it's probably not there anymore.
Yeah, well, but it's huge. But you can Google it. You still can Google it.
Oh, okay.
You can Google it. Yeah, you can Google it. You can Google it on your smartphone. Just all you have to do is just put in there, gee whiz, veterans, and you'll get it all. But it's quite a volume there. Let's see, it's 47. Let's see, 50, almost 50, 60 pages.
Oh,
60 pages, and they were highlighting all sorts of veterans.
Right.
All sorts of veterans are being highlighted in this piece right here. So you might want to, in fact, you can even call the Tribune and get a copy.
Okay.
And they can either mail you one, in some cases. It may cost you a couple of pennies, but the bottom line, it's a beautiful piece, if you will. In fact, you might even recognize some people.
That's right.
And we've been working very closely with this guy named Napoleon, and he.
Hodgins.
Hodgins, yeah, he was highlighted in this publication also. And he was a very interesting guy. Never seen combat himself. That helps those who have. And they did quite a piece on him aspect of it, which I thought was really good. And as you note, part of what I do is to help vets out too myself. Just lobby. We talk about it here on the shows.
Okay.
Both of our shows, for that matter, right? You got me? So I think that's another good interesting piece. We were going to have a couple of other guests here also in addition to that. However, they had some commitments that they had to make. So as a result of my filing for running for mayor, the 13th of November, right? The 13th of November, and all of a sudden I said, well, why not? Went down to City Hall and
this is the one where we have a vote in May. And then we do the deciding in November.
Well, no, you're right, but let's say if a person reaches 51%, then that's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 51%, and that happened in the last mayoral race when our present mayor, he's the incumbent mayor, and then he basically got 51%. And it can be very spendy too when you're running for office. And again, this is sharing what it takes to run for office. What are you looking at when you run for office? You got me? And what are the end results? And I'd like to spend a little time on that in terms of we've got a lot of folks with a lot of ideas. Get me?
Okay.
And I think it's very, very important for the benefit of us all, as far as the public is concerned, that these ideas could maybe do a number of solutions. But the key is that how do you get those individuals who have solutions for issues that we're coping with on a daily basis to get to run and go through that process. It's a very difficult process to understand that way, and because that's not really how we get to the ideas. The ideas are really not discussed, as far as I'm concerned. And I think there should be a process. And what I mean by that, Rich, and I'm sure let's talk about it a little bit. In the application process, it's it's normally just your name and this, that, and the other, and your phone number, and you put down the money. See, but I think that, and then so my thought is that in the application process, I think what should happen is that it should be cited on the application process of what the major issues are. That's maybe the top 4, top 5 issues, right?
Okay.
And then the idea was that the person who's applying to run for office then should, i.e., respond to those issues. Respond to those issues in writing.
Okay.
When they file for office, okay? And then depending upon, then put together a committee that's so committed that will say, okay, fine, they will evaluate those comments and whatever, and then maybe take the top 10 or top 20 or top 15 or whatever's necessary and say, well, these are the folks that are going to actually be on the ballot that's going to be running for office, so to speak. So I think that would help quite a bit, because the process that we have right now is that if a person is sitting in the incumbent seat, they're not going to share what the issues are, or where they are on the issues, right?
Okay.
And that because as far as I'm concerned, they should even have an orientation period, where if you're going to run for office, that should be an orientation period. Let the people know what. Again, that could be part of that process of knowing what the issues are, right? You share it, you run for office, and then you respond, right?
All right.
And I think that may be a better way of getting the folks that can relate to some of those issues, and the public could understand them a bit better. But then you give that to the media as a whole, right? You got me?
Okay.
Because it can be very costly trying to advertise these newspapers. That's really why you pick up the money. That's why you have the money. And we're going through this impeachment situation right now, today. You got me? And then out of that, the relationship with what I just shared with that is that this Ukrainian piece aspect of it about it's against the law or whatever. That's what they're playing around now with Congress. That's a whole different ballgame, saying that if you give somebody some money, you're not supposed to ask them what you're gonna give me back in return. But that's been done forever.
Yeah.
We do that all over the place, for that matter.
It does work, apparently.
Yeah, it has to work. Otherwise, you lost your money.
Yeah, right.
See what I'm saying? You got my point? But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that out in regards to, in terms of the application process. I would like to, as far as I'm concerned, these are just some ideas that I've always had some concerns about on the front end for quite some time. Yes, I've been down this road for a number of years, aspect of it, but because of our experience, we've been on the tube, we've been discussing these issues and these concerns and whatever, and so that's kind of the result of where my head is, aspect of it. Got me? So as we talk about these issues again, like thinking about the city of Portland again.
Okay.
Another one is another concern that I have, and hopefully again I'm sharing it with some of the people that might be interested in running, and that I've gotten from a number of people who are concerned with as far as issue was the whole issue of districtizing the city. See, we are now a mayoral form of government. The concern with a lot of the folks out there in the city, they don't know who to call.
Oh. Okay.
You got 4 commissioners and 1 mayor, right? You got me? But realistically, you got 5 mayors.
Oh. Okay.
Because you run citywide, right? And that means that you got to be up on all issues across the board. See.
On the other hand, I could never figure out how one manager could control all that stuff. That was one thing I never could quite.
But the definition of the manager, you got bureau chiefs.
Okay.
See, and all a manager is sort of like he's a general manager of bureau chiefs.
Okay.
You got me? And so he keeps things in its place, aspect of it, and the politicians are over here, but he keeps the politics out of it. So the bureau manager is the one that knows what their particular job is.
Okay.
Yeah, and the expectation or the mindset is that as if to say the commissioners and the mayor knows it all. Well, that's not the case. It didn't work that way. In fact, what I've learned is that if you're not there 2 terms, by the time you go through the first term, you're just trying to learn what the job is all about. And a lot of times it's pretty well dictated from a political standpoint. Mm-hmm. You got me? And so you have to go through, let's say, 4 years. You go through 4 years, and then you run that second 4 years, you learn something, but you still don't know as much as the bureau chief.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Somebody's got to be in control of knowing stuff.
Oh, they have to be. They have to be. Well, that's one thing. Well, the districtizing the city would help quite a bit, because if you're living within a certain area, you know that that's your representative, so to speak, and you can pick up the phone and call that person. You get me?
Yeah.
And as opposed to getting 3 minutes, you're getting 3 minutes today. You get in the front of the. I mean, how can a person go in the front of anybody like that and figure that they got an idea on their, they got a concern, and and be able to articulate it within 3 minutes? And you're asking a question of someone who doesn't have the background, or may have some part of the background. You got me? And so as a result of that, it's just not as effective. And so I think that's one of the major concerns we have here in the city of Portland. We may have to go towards a city manager type deal, and all that is basically you got someone to make sure you manage the bureau heads.
Yeah. Okay.
The bureau heads. That's all. And then you've got a kind of the chairman of the board when it comes to commissioners and the mayor, because the mayor is kind of like the chairperson of the board, right?
All right.
And then each of those individuals have their own respective district, and we need something like that.
Sounds like another way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's just another option. They're just observation through the years, if you will. You got me?
Okay.
That's one piece in terms of governing, and how do you get more folks attracted to running for office? Mm-hmm. Because then when you can define now, if you got that form of government, and then when a person is running for a commissioner, then all of a sudden they are from that area and they're familiar with that area, whether it be transportation issues, whether it be garbage, just issues within that particular area, right? You got me? And then they can knock on those doors.
Okay.
They can knock on those doors, and then those folks can be very familiar with someone who's very familiar with the area. That's all I'm saying. See, because they're all differing around the area, and then trying to run effectively for the entire city, when you may only know this group of folks right here, but the other three entities, if you don't have access to those entities, guess who controls the whole roost? The ones with the monies. See?
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that if we did it that way, I think it would be a better piece. Now,
have you got a particular issue here or something?
Well, one of them, the major issue as I see it, again we're just trying to educate the public as well as motivating folks that if you got an issue and you got some solutions, then hey, we want you to run. Because the city's at that, we're in a crisis situation right now, and the biggest thing that we have within, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the issue, is the homeless issue, and the homeless issue identified with a number of issues. You get me? And under our form of government, the county tends to the one that manages that part of the deal. But the city and the county sort of work together. The city has certain issues to deal with, but the county, as far as I'm concerned, is the solution entity for the issues.
Okay.
And so when you start thinking about that homeless aspect of it, the people are concerned with folks out there in tents, out there in their front yards, their side yards, and all kinds of stuff, and you've got that problem with burglaries and all kinds of things that are happening right there. But then when you start thinking about the definition of homeless, there's a lot of mental illness. Folks that are...
Oh, yeah, that's a big problem.
That's a big problem. That's in the homeless arena. And that's huge. And then the issue with the... and we can talk about as far as what do you do? I mean...
I think there's a lot of nonprofits that are kind of going out there trying to do what they can do. Mm-hmm. And interviewing these people. Mm-hmm.
Well, grants are given out.
They're really trying to do.
Who's the grantor? You see what I'm saying? Who's giving out the money?
Okay.
And they pretty well set up the guidelines and the contract that says, okay, fine, this is what I think the problem is. And then if you come and respond to that, you get the money. But that's not necessarily the solution.
All right.
It's just an ongoing. And if you run out of money, then the taxes go up. And then the person from this area may have to pick up that tab, right? You got me?
Okay.
See what I mean? Because insurance goes up if all of a sudden you're getting burglarizing your cars, your house, and this, that, and the other. See what I'm saying? So that's a very serious issue.
That always is.
Oh my God! And then the other thing was the whole issue of the urination just out, and now that has to change. That has to go back to before the council, and they have to really look at that issue aspect of it. You just can't just be outside urinating out in the front of the. I mean, that's what's happening right now. Or if not that, defecating just out on the sidewalks, in doorways.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And whatever.
That's what I read about this lady, and so other people had to clean up.
Yes. It's
amazing.
Oh, it's unsanitary, the whole 9 yard, and people don't have a place to go. And then now we're responding about from the money standpoint. Well, we're going to go on according to the mayor's plan, Mayor Willis' plan. We're going to get the money, and what we're going to do, we're going to come out with some bathrooms. We've gone that route before, but then the idea is who cleans them up. Then you got to find. Then it finds the money for the cleanup. Then you got to find a contractor that's willing to find some people to clean up toilets.
That's right.
When all the person has to do beforehand, you use the Great Northern paper, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. And you clean it, and you use it and you flush it, right?
Okay.
And and you got water there and this, that, and the other. But the bottom line today, the mindset is you don't have to do that. A lot of these folks are kind of like hurting anyway. They say, what the heck? I don't even have to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's really a sad situation, from that aspect of it. So we have to find some other method because there are rules and regs for living, right? We live under regulation.
Nothing's easy.
No, it's nothing easy about that piece. But that's another area, and that has to be worked on. And then the same thing with the urination piece. I mean, you're walking up to a door or whatever, and you're walking downtown or whatever, and you hear you smell the human, all kinds of stuff, human waste and urine and stuff like that, and whatever, and so that's another major problem that people are concerned with. And just the fact we got kids and we've got families that are walking along the way, and people exposing themselves and whatever, getting out of a bar, and so now it's getting down to the point where people just say, well, just find a tree. The mindset was if you were traveling or walking in a park or something, you just go around a bush, right? But now the bush is right downtown. Mm-hmm. It's right in the front of your yard.
That's right.
You got me? And that's a heavy piece. And the other one, which is another big issue, are the needles. Basically trying to respond to the sickness, if you will, of drugs, right?
Oh yeah.
So they're giving these needles for free, the kind of metrodone type aspect of it, and these are sharp-pointed objects, if you will, Robbie. And you've read before in the past where needles were found on transportation and elsewhere, and little babies and kids would pick them up. And,
that's right. The needles.
The needles, the needles aspect of it.
That's a problem.
It's a major problem. And so you say, well, hey, look, what are you going to do with it? Well, my thought right off the bat was that we had a problem with bottles and cans at one point in time. Remember that? They were all over the place, bottles and cans or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So then we came up with a solution to that deal. Mm-hmm. Now you don't see any bottles and cans. Why? Because you put a buck on that deal, see? And people pick them up.
They're up to 10 cents.
That's right. And they pick them up. You see what I'm saying? We don't have that problem anymore. Why can't they do the same thing with the needles? You get me? You put 50 cents on the needle, if you will. Put the 50 cents on the needle, put a box, put them in that container, and then use the same system that we have for bottles and cans, because you go to a dispensary area, right? Put them in a bag, put your name on it, and you put them in there, and then what they do, they'll give you credit for it when you go down to the stores, Safeway or any of the big stores or whatever. You got me?
Will it work?
Oh, it's working. It's working.
Okay.
It's working perfectly. I mean, you can go to various areas. Delta Park is a good example. People are lined up with bags, and they've got to shoot. And those folks who don't want to put them in bags they're still in a position where they can just pick up 4 or 5 cans themselves and just go up in line and turn them in and get paid right then and there.
Oh, okay.
So the system works. So as far as I'm concerned, so the needles would work in the same capacity. Why not use the system? But eventually, hopefully, you might be thinking in terms of, well, maybe we need to get away from the needles. Maybe we get back to remember that it was a Jack Nicholson or whatever, the Cuckoo's Nest. Remember that one, when they hit this movie, talking to mentally ill, but they were all enclosed, so to speak. Got me? Who had a facility they were being taken care of. But when drug time came around, I mean, as far as taking medication, they would have to go up to a window, got me, and the nurse handed them out the pill with the water. But you had to take the pill right there. It wasn't about giving them the pill, and then once they get the pills in a bottle, depending upon what it is, they'll sell them. See, but at some point in time, you need to get to the point, and as far as I'm concerned, the system is there. When you get a flu shot and you go to the local pharmacist, what do? They give you the shot right there.
Or the store or anywhere.
They give it to you right there. They don't give you the needle in the
sure
needle.
Are.
They do it right there. So why not look into that system? It's already there. See, it's already there. So all of a sudden, now you've eliminated those needles outside, right? On the sidewalks and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, that's right.
Kids and whatever. So we got to look at it from the standpoint of what do we have within our system that works. Fair? Got me? So I think that's another area that I think we could talk to, and what else? The other thing I was going to talk about that was we talked about the districtization aspect of it, and the other thing is about I think I'm talking about City of Portland aspect of it,
right?
And the other thing I might share right now at this point in time. Look, I don't know everything. I just that I've been aware of things.
Right.
And I think if we're going to have the kind of leadership that we need, these entities that are representing us, the masses aspect of it, they've got to bring things to the table that they have some sense of background, some sense.
Okay.
And a lot of times the first thing that comes to mind is a resume, right? A lot of times when you're looking for a job, when you go to an employer, what does the employer say? Where's your experience, right? You can have 50 degrees, but if you have no experience for that particular task for that employer, he said, next. Go get the experience and then come back.
Even I always wondered about that. Experience necessary.
Yep.
I said, what if you didn't have any access?
That's right. That's right.
I just personally,
right.
I just wondered.
That's why our education, as far as I'm concerned, our education system doesn't fit within that category. You got me? You know what I'm saying? And that's why the trades, and we had trades in the schools, right? Remember, you had carpentry, you had metal shop, and all kinds of things. In fact, you had nursing, you had bakery. I mean, you had all kinds of stuff in the schools. And so people were familiar with some kind of that trade aspect of it. You know, that blue collar stuff we call it before, whatever. So that's that resume thing that I think that we're lacking along that particular line. We need to sit down and talk about that, because when a person makes the application to run for office, they should also bring their resume.
Oh, yeah.
In their resume, and that's why I was talking about this whole idea of identifying the issues on the front end, and let them respond to the issues. Get my point? They have to do it when they make application. They would have to write down what they feel is a solution to that problem.
Okay.
You see? And that will tell you basically about their experience, and those are the kinds of folks we're looking for.
And that would come out on the voters pamphlet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, better yet, when the person filed to run for office, they would give that to the media now, and the media would basically either do one of two things. One, that would be public time, so to speak. They would give it to them, and then they would give them a person to call. What did you mean by this? And what do you mean by that? And they'll publicize the whole list.
Okay.
And the people. So what? Almost like this pamphlet that we were talking about here, a salute to veterans. When you look at this whole deal, what does it do? It gives you the resume of every one of them who's profile, right?
Right.
And the media was the one that basically did all the interviews.
There's the resumes all through that.
All the resumes, it's all resumes. These guys all kinds of experience aspect of it along that line. And so I'm saying, they should follow that same situation with putting the application and get the press. Now, after they've printed this piece, then if one has money, they want to do more promotion, flyers and things of that nature, then it's on their back. You see what I'm saying? You can still do that.
Okay.
But the key is that your voters pamphlet now is real. See, there's a difference between a voter's pamphlet and something like this.
Okay.
Because the voter's pamphlet basically is something where you can hire someone or whatever. I hate to put it this way, but in some cases, you can. I don't want to be that way. It look like during the election period, that's the only time you can lie about something.
There's been a big fuss about that.
You know what I'm saying? And people say,
Be a
well,
big deal.
See, rather than say, well, what you mean by this? Well, I meant this. Well, that's not what you said. But that's always that after the fact. But it's not discussed on the front end. You get my point? These are real resumes right here. You get me?
Right, okay.
The voters pamphlet is a whole different ball game, as I see it. You get me? See?
I think politicians and news people, they would strive for the kind of respectful honesty. I would think that, and that, in other words, if they're going to report a news thing, well, I better check it out.
Yep.
Make sure that it's that's really happened or something like that.
Well, it would help the media if, in fact, when they filed to run for office, that they had that real information.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So when they put that, so when they file for office, and now they're saying they're running for office, the media has that information, and then they can print it, and they can take it to the next tier, and interview the candidate. See, especially on those crisis items, like the homeless piece. We're looking for a solution in the city of Portland right now.
Okay.
Many cities are, but we are looking for solutions for Portland, Oregon. Are we looking for solutions for Multnomah County? On and on and on. We're not talking about national issues right now. We're talking about Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Right? You got me? And so my thing is that there should be orientation to make sure, right? You got me?
Okay.
And that orientation is to give you a feel for what those issues are. You got me? You don't necessarily have to file right then and there, but let the world know, let the people know that that we've got issues in this city, and we got a problem, and we're looking for folks that can respond to it. You know what I'm saying? So pick up the best ideas, and then have the election. That becomes the politics then.
Okay.
As a person just basically just going on and picking other things that has no significance to solving the problem.
Right.
Does that make sense? See what I'm saying?
Okay.
See, and so I wanted to make sure we brought that piece out. Now there are many other issues, and as I look at the people that are running for office, I'm sure you like me. I try to look at the names, and we've been around for a couple of days, and I don't recognize too many names.
Will that be out in the paper? So the ones that, if you went down there today, would those names be out tomorrow, or is that?
Well, these are the names that I picked up from the auditor's office.
Oh, okay.
And for the mayor, Sarah Enneron, she filed, and she also filed by the nomination petition.
What's the name?
Campaign finance. Sarah, IANNARONE. I mean, I don't want to mess up her name, but then Sarah, but she filed, and they also did the campaign finance information. Friends of Sarah, okay, secure estate, blah blah blah, one search button name, blah 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 blah, whatever. Anyway, but I think we've got this city-owned election type stuff, right now, and you have to come up with so many names. In this particular case, if she's running for mayor, she has to come up with 500 names at $5 a hit. Get me? And then she can go forward to that money. But that's another program, and that's this piece right here. And I got that also too.
Oh.
Open and accountable elections candidate guide.
Yeah, show that.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting.
Get one of those.
The whole packet, yeah. But right down to the city, and you can pick that up, or you can Google it. But you can just go up there.
That way you can think about it.
That's right. There you go. In fact, they made one major change, which I thought was interesting. I found that out today. And what they did was that before you can qualify to just get the packet, the 2/3 of the packet that tells you that you have to come up with the 500 name with the $5. The first thing you got to do is go out and get 100 people that will sign a petition that you can go after this money.
Oh, that's to do with the money.
Yeah, that was the money.
Oh, okay. Not to do with whether or not you're going to be mayor.
Right. No, it's the mayor. No, the mayor. No. If you want the money for the mayor piece.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? That's a 500 name, and then for the city council, it's 250. I wasn't able to chat with the commissioner about this issue.
Okay.
Or the director of this issue aspect of it, which is another issue. because many of these commissions they're so bombarded with meetings and things of that nature. That would have taken me 4 to 6 weeks. I went down there today. 4 to 6 weeks to see a commissioner.
Okay.
I'm sitting up here saying, I don't have 4 to 6 weeks. You got my point?
Right.
And as you know, we did a piece on this on the show. We had the person from the auditor's office who came over.
That's one of the reasons I never had Saltzman come on this show, because I had to go through so many people to get to him. I said, no, I got people that come on here.
Yep.
No trouble.
And then that should be one of their jobs, and that's what I'm saying about the orientation.
I would agree.
They got to have something like that.
Shouldn't be that hard to get.
It shouldn't be that hard. And for them to change the process here, beforehand it was just go out and get 500 people at $5, and you made it. Okay. And now it's 600 people. You got to get 100 persons first to begin with, just to get into the program.
Okay.
See, so that and that didn't make any sense. And Amanda Fritz is the one, the city commissioner that's running this whole program.
Wow.
And she just recently changed that.
That's a lot of work.
Now, when she ran the last time, she used the same program. But the fact of the matter is, she didn't have to worry about raising come up with the 100 people at the beginning.
Oh.
They changed it. Now, I want to talk to her about that to find out, why the change. I mean, why the real change?
Okay.
You don't change something right in the middle of the road. You got my point? Because what I'd heard about it was opening an accountable election candidates guide. The initial mayor, the other person, Sarah, I think raised it under the old program. Now, I don't know whether or not she had to go back and get another 100 people or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, they've changed the program. Just recently changed it. See? And, I'm not trying to, we don't need loops. And then you ask yourself the question, why do you need the money? I mean, we need leadership. And I think through the orientation piece aspect of it, you can get it down to the point that you don't need that much money, but you need gas money and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Just basic stuff to take care of basic stuff. But and we are transitioning, so to speak, because now we got the finance cap, $250 to $500 or something like that. As far as donations, so we won't have to worry about the big donors. Just basically buying up the campaigns, right?
Okay.
You got me? They pretty well identified that with the incumbent right now. Not that it was his fault, but the guidelines are already there. And I'm talking about Ted Wheeler. He spent quite a bit of money to pick up the 51% plus, so he didn't have to worry about a runoff. Well, 20 some odd people ran. I ran during that particular time. You got me? And a lot of people are not in a position to refinance their house and this, that, and that. I would never refinance my house that way. Not like that. You got me? Yeah.
A lot of people could just have the money to apply.
Exactly.
And they don't need any more money, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So my point is that if you put the system in such a fashion, you get the best people to run.
Okay.
So whether they got
Why not?
money or no money, but to get the best people and come up with some of the things that we were talking about, how we mentioned that piece about the orientation. You're looking for folks to come in. Get me? I think we should do an outreach program of some sort.
It must be quite a job for someone to get elected mayor and still have the homeless thing.
Yeah, that's right.
There.
That's right.
So.
And it ends up where the person is kind of like on the job training, trying to find answers using our money.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that bothers me about this whole piece. Lots of money. I mean, just recently, for instance, the mayor, the present mayor, we had this anticipation of having this riot downtown. Remember?
Yeah. Oh,
See?
yeah.
And you ask yourself the question: well, how much money was spent? I still don't know the money.
Good question.
How much money was spent to prepare ourselves for this supposed riot situation, right? You got me? And that's a pretty heavy subject matter that I'm still concerned with. See?
Okay.
See? And so, what could one have done? What could a person have done before that? Is that fair?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing look, we got a deal here. This is community television, and that's why I'm so good about the folks that are with us here. The folks in the studio. Got me? in the control room. He's making sure that, oh, there it is, there it is. This thing is so nice, and oh wow. See, that's what I'm talking about. In fact, now there's a potential candidate right there. He's ready. I noticed that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we know that.
See that? See, but see that, that's what that general manager is all about. See?
Better.
That's why we need. That's why I'm saying we need, just like with the mayorship, the whole issue with the city council. We need a city manager. See, that can deal with these bureau chiefs. There it is. That's what it's all.
I do know one thing. If we voted to change, I think it'd just be a change that could people handle it?
Yeah.
That's my question. Would be my question.
Well, I still think the idea of term limit, it has some merit, if you will. You know, sometimes it's a little shorter when you got just 2 terms, because the first term is OJT, on the job training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
right.
you get your money back, so to speak, on that second term. But at the same time, by the time a person gets orientated about what to do on this piece, they're so focused now
right.
on some specific issues. But then by the time they get through that, there are new issues that are developed as a result of the negligence here. So term limit, I said, okay, at the end of, if you don't, you got to go back to the issues again, right?
Are you referring to mayor?
Yeah, mayor, any of them, city council.
But it seems like in the past now, hardly any mayors have stayed longer than 1 term.
Yeah, but you had bureaucrats. You know, she stayed there for quite some time.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that goes way back.
Yeah, bureaucrat, and she.
But recently, as things have gotten tougher.
Yes, but then see, but Vera had other experience. She was a legislator too. Remember?
Yeah,
she was a state legislator, so
she was great.
She was very much involved. So she did our OJT in the legislature.
Joanne.
Yeah, Joanne spent a time aspect of it, and you know she had pretty well major focus on police because she didn't have access to a lot of other entities. You see what I'm saying? So she spent a lot of time with police. And again, I make that point because the mayor is the one that sort of issues the bureaus out, right? Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, I think it would have been far more worthwhile had he appointed her police commissioner.
Yeah.
Because there were issues. Now, I mean, there are pros and cons about how she feels about police, but it's like anything else. But the fact that she had that relationship, and it'd been neat to be able to say, okay, fine, let's have some discussions now on this piece.
Right.
But that didn't happen that way.
Isn't it hard to give someone a bureau that they know nothing about, or maybe they want to be over here?
Well, that's the OJT. That's the on-the-job training. But a lot of times, the power is in the hand of the incumbent, of the mayor. See, because he basically said, well, I want this for myself. Oh, I can get this, or I can get this, and I can get that. And to a certain degree, I have issues with reference to how many police chiefs are sitting up there right now at the Portland Police Department.
Okay.
You know, we had Chief Outlaw that came in from out of town, so to speak. She's really not familiar with the terrain. Don't get me wrong. She is an administrative aspect of it, but this is still Portland, Oregon. You got to orientate yourself to the public.
Yeah.
And to the issues that are around this city. Got me?
That's right.
So who is most effective? You got me? And when you think about it, probably the most effective, as I see it, the most effective person in this particular case would have been basically the labor head. Got me? The guy who was basically in charge of the police department, because it's a union shop, so to speak.
Okay.
And so in this case, it was kind of like Daryl Turner. Daryl Turner, was basically. He was and he's basically focusing on police work.
Okay.
Almost like a general manager.
All right.
To a certain degree, you got me? So really, he had more knowledge of the troops on the ground because these are law enforcement officers. Somebody got to supervise that piece. So I looked at him. So when you think about it, and sometimes he's forced into the politics of it all.
Mm-hmm.
See, he is a general manager of the police, of law enforcement officers.
Okay.
And in all due respect, this is my perspective. It's nothing against her per se, but the mayor picked her. He went and picked her and made her chief.
Okay.
You see, and in all due respect, so she's got the OJT as to what is police work from Portland perspective.
All right.
And that takes time.
Okay.
You got me? Ordinarily, if it was such a process, you know, so anyway, it just kind of it's something that if I had anything to do with it, I'd have to change the process. I mean, that's not what I would do. You know, all due respect, I would just basically say right up front with it, one way or the other. If that's the case, if we have to have a union, a lot of times people say we have to protect my brothers. That's fine, but I would just say, okay, fine. The most effective is draw the chief from that entity.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Okay, he can be the head of the union aspect of it, but he works for the citizens. You see what I'm saying? You got me?
Okay.
And if he's got something in his mind, fine, but he's still the chief in their guidelines, you know? And the guidelines come from their law enforcement officers.
Okay.
Because the issues that we're concerned with, we have some issues with we report to our immediate person, that is the elected person that we voted on, right? You got me?
Okay.
And then that person gets together and puts the police there and put the other commissioners, and they all sitting around the table and discussing what our concerns are. And at the end of the day, the orders are given to the police that this is what you do in terms of enforcing this policy that we just approved.
That sounds like what a mayor should do.
Yeah, that's what a mayor should be doing, right? You got me? But this contention stuff doesn't help the situation, not at all, in many ways.
Yeah, try to keep the streets calmed down out there.
Exactly. Those are some of the areas that I just thought I'd throw on the table. But it's like anything else, we're all creatures of our exposure, right?
Okay.
You know, we've interviewed a number of folks, right? And we've been involved with folks because we brought these folks who were expert within their own. That's why we interview them, right? Mm-hmm. And we learn a little bit more, and so we got that part. And some things we like, some things we don't. You got me? But we're able to discuss them right here in many ways. You get me? We're almost like a manager in many ways because we're communicating. See? You get me?
Okay.
See? So before I go any further, let me identify how many people are running. I picked up this list as of registry of the candidates, May 19th primary election. Okay, I've got Sarah Inaran. She's a candidate for mayor. Teresa Rayford, filed by nominating petition. Okay, and then campaign finance. Okay, campaign finance. People are for Teresa. Okay, so she's applying for the money. Also, too, Sarah did too. Whether or not they've got the
that's someone else that's running.
That's right, she's running. Michael O'Callahan. Okay, I see he's running. Filed by nominating petition. Filing from good.
How many names do you think there will be in the end? By next May or March?
I would say maybe 10 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There was 20-something when I ran that last time around, which I thought was good. I wish there was a runoff. Had there been a runoff, that means the two people would be vying for the folks who got
the two most votes.
The two top ones. Then if we had a runoff, it would be the two top, and then at least we've gotten the ideas on the table from the other 22 people, right? Got me?
Okay.
And then these two people would be vying to try to get these folks that's not running to vote for them or endorse them.
Oh yes.
See, you see what I'm saying?
And so everybody else.
And we would have had more discussions, and in some cases, some of the ideas that didn't win would become part of the campaign of the two people that were running in the runoff. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to me, that makes a lot of sense. Always have a runoff.
Yeah.
The top two.
Yeah, that's more.
The top two. Get me?
Wheeler didn't get.
No, he got 51% plus.
Yeah.
See?
Okay.
But when you start thinking about it, and I'll just be straight up about it. When I look at some of the people down that line, and I do remember when he ran for the county, kind of in the same boat, so to speak. He had no background, you know what I mean, as far as county stuff, mentally, all that stuff. That wasn't his background, not but he did have the money and the skills with that money to be able to get the vote. Because as a rule, the votes are kind of like in that last 2 weeks, if you will, because that stuff that you get in the mail. If you get the mail with the people's names and identify the voters pamphlet and flyers.
Okay.
Because you get those too. So you get the flyers and whatever. The flyers are the key.
All right.
Because the voters pamphlet, by the time you get through going through that whole piece, you quit reading after the first page. And the voters pamphlet, see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's another.
Right.
There's
right.
something there to the table. And the other thing is that I am not trying to fault him or anybody who's the incumbent, but the fact of the matter is that we got to get it balanced enough to be able to. We got to get it in such a fashion that the whole campaign process are always trying to attract and reach out to the people who have the ideas that can come and put them on the table and represent those ideas because they've got solutions. Because at the end of the day, it's about bettering our way of life. Got me?
Okay.
The taxpayers feeling comfortable about the fact that we all have to pay dues or pay rent to our environment amenities, right? Got me? But the fact of the matter, they got to be real. You know, sometimes the little people are paying more than other people, and that kind of a deal. It's so political.
Right.
And not to say we can change this overnight, but this is just another one of the other areas that I'm very interested in. I'd like to see more people run for office. I really would.
Right. I know you, and I know that's you're right. You want to get the best people.
The best people. The best people
out there.
Yes, and they're out there.
And then maybe you'll get the best person.
Exactly. Right. And we've got two ways.
Okay.
You know, we got the orientation piece, right?
Okay.
The folks who are already there, who's been there over the last 4. We want them to feel comfortable about saying, okay, if I'm the mayor and I've gone through 4 years and I want to run again the next following 4 years, it shouldn't bother me.
Okay.
To make sure I educate the people about what the problems are.
Okay.
With the city.
All right.
Now, once you put it out there, but you've got another hat you're wearing because over here in this hat, you're trying to get the seat back again. So in one case, he's a mayor because he's the incumbent. In another case, when he's running for office, he's a whole different individual. See, because right now he's got two hats. So a lot of times what happens is that while he's still there, he's running for office while he's still sitting in the seat.
Okay.
And so he's spending a lot of his attention making sure that the people who sit in the front of him, the public, he's got access to the media.
Oh, yeah.
see. So realistically, he's got most of his campaign money just by sitting in the seat.
Okay. All right.
That's awful. But
so he's got a running start.
Oh, big time. And so he may have some value, but he's not interested in sharing anything to the competition.
Okay.
It shouldn't be about competition sitting in that seat. It's about you do your work from if you got 4 years to do, you're working 4 years.
Yeah.
You're not playing with politics at the end of 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
You're doing it 4 years. And at the end of that 4 years, the expectation is for you to do it. Hey, this is what I've done. And this is what's left to do on what I've done. And if I didn't do anything, then guess what? I'm out of there.
All right.
In some cases, you can eliminate the whole issue of term limits if we had that orientation process.
Okay.
You see, because it would define if you say you're going to do these things for the next 4 years, and you don't accomplish but one of them, your chances of getting this next round is not going to happen.
Okay.
So indirectly, rather than have it in kind of a antagonistic way, where we're sitting right now, you know, they're not. It's a lot of times people say, "Well, gee whiz, I don't like the guy," or maybe, or whatever, get him out of there, this, that, and the other. Well, let term limit handle it just from the standpoint of, and cause he might have been a heck of a mayor, as far as I'm concerned, if he just focused on the issues that he identified when he first filed.
Okay.
And if he solved those problems, then his chances of winning the next round, which is a whole new slate, right?
Okay.
Because his so-called filling the application process is that he can make the point, I said I was going to do this, I was going to do this, and do this, and do this, and I did those things. But this is what I expect to do now.
Okay.
It's a whole new day. But that's his resume.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? And then that makes a lot of sense, and that keeps the things in such a way that it solves the whole issue of term limits.
Okay.
Because if you didn't do anything, you're not going to be there. See, right?
All right.
See, in fact, if you started off and you don't identify with the issues on the front end, you won't win. right?
Yeah, all right.
But I'm saying put it on the table.
Because people are waiting for you to say something.
That's
about
right.
that.
That's right. But nobody asked the question, well, what did you say then? You get me? They do it in a mild way. You got
Okay.
me? But a lot of times people are reactionary like right now. Got me? And a lot of times it's the people who are sitting up there with the classification, I'm the mayor. Get me? And or I'm a city commissioner. You got me? As
Okay.
opposed to the issues. We need to discuss the issues. And that's where the deals are. See, so
Okay.
that's where my head. And by the way, I might add there are two other positions with the city council this time around, and that's position number 1. And these are the candidates: Cameron Rubio, Philip Wolf. Okay, that's position 1. Candidates for position number 4: Jack Corfoot, Kerfot. Okay. And there's more there on that list, but there's another certification process.
Yeah, okay.
You fill out the paperwork, and then they have to check you off depending upon how you're going to run. And I would refer to the fact you can Google Oregon Voters Digest, and I did interview the elections person from the city auditor's office, and we went through that whole process of what it takes to run for office. You got
Okay.
me? And I just went through the process myself. My name will go on here once I get the certification process from the administrator. I put I fill out everything, gave up my $50 routine, and about a couple of days from now, so they'll say, okay, fine, he's over 21, all that kind of good stuff, the basic stuff, right? And then you get to be that particular person. I might add too, for us, if I can throw that out to both of us, we welcome everybody to come on.
Right.
Anybody can call us. We got Richard right here, and what's your number, Richard? Why don't you give it to him? Give me your number.
Richard.
Throw your phone number.
503-232-4142.
And they can schedule with you when they can come on, and that's anytime, especially between now and May.
Or R.O. Carpenter at Comcast.net.
Okay, and I'm in the same boat with Oregon Voters Digest. Sure, I might be running, but the fact of the matter is you'll find that
You have a website.
I have a website, and then I have a phone number. I'm going to give them a phone number, too. 503-701-0457. And you can call me to schedule on the Oregon Voters Digest, point blank. Okay. And all I said, I've been talking about this stuff. We've been talking about this stuff for quite a bit. All I'm saying, and it'll be good for yourself, too, and then bring your resume. Bring your resume for the job. There's got to be something within your resume that relate to it.
Okay.
And if there are some major issues that are facing this city, like homelessness, mental illness, the need, I've cited some. Maybe that you may have something that you feel is, but always check it out with reference to where we are with your way of life. Look around you. Look around you when you're driving around and you're seeing all those tents, something's wrong.
Okay.
See what I mean? And if you have an idea on that deal, that's where you would all start. That's where we should all start, for that matter, with that kind of a deal. But I'd be more than glad to have you come on, and you'll get more than 3 minutes. I mean, I always use that 3-minute piece, but there's nowhere in the world you could articulate yourself in a 3-minute period of time.
No.
I've seen it in debates where they tell you, well, okay, fine, you got a minute to answer the question and a minute to respond to it. You can't do it.
This is just an excellent way for people going into politics to be heard.
Exactly.
It's cable
That's
access.
right. That's right.
Here.
You can do it right here, and in most cases we'll try to give you. You can see we've already spent an hour, and in many ways we've got to give you at least 30 minutes. So we can get 2 shows in there. 2 shows, if not, we might be able to get 15 minutes with them. But that depends, and that depends upon when you call. In fact, a lot of times if you call, I will ask you when I schedule you. Just do your basic, maybe have a cup of coffee or talk to you over the phone and kind of get some ideas of what is your platform? What are you bringing to the table? And I'm just going to be fair with you because in all due respect, if you identify what your real strengths are, guess what? You're going to shine better. And you're not going to be spending your time about these other different issues that you're not related to. That's why I talked about city manager, because if you got a city manager, you can't identify with everything that's out there. All the issues that are involved in terms of running a city and all that. See, you don't have the time for that stuff.
Right.
See, that's why I mentioned the fact about the city manager. See, we got bureau chiefs. That's what they handle.
This election is for coming up for next year
Right.
for
right.
mayor.
That's right. And the city council.
Will there be
November.
and the city council?
Yeah, all of them. There are three
Oh.
seats. There are three seats.
All-
There are two
all
incumbents. Yep, there are three seats that are available. Udaly, yes, Commissioner Udaly, and you got her, and you got the mayor. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And Amanda Fritz, Commissioner Fritz, she said she spent her time. She's ready to take it easy now, and so she's retiring, so to speak. Okay. And
Fritz.
Yeah, Fritz. And there's no incumbent there.
All right.
There's no incumbent. So there are three seats. And if you want to run for office and you got the numbers and you got no problem, and you can call city council, and in fact the person that office person
Of
I was
all
going to give you.
Of all those people, I think Joanne would be the most one we could get here.
Well, no, but she's not running. She's not running. And the two.
Well, she's
but-
still good to have.
Well, if she
Okay.
if she wants to come, see.
All right. All
With
right.
all due respect, she's busy in that first tier. You know what I'm saying? OJT, on the job training, so to speak.
Okay.
But she's had some experience from the standpoint in the legislature, you know what I'm saying, and community stuff.
That's what I was thinking about.
So indirectly in a roundabout way, and yeah, she's kind of like the mayor right now. She's one of the mayors, but all of them are mayors as far as I'm concerned, and they all have skills. You got
Okay.
me? It depends upon what skills, right? You got me? And
Okay.
what the ills are, okay? And she identifies with that kind of a deal. But we want to make sure we cover this. Yes, I am running, and that's going to be one of the things I'm doing. And this is because I have access to the Oregon Voters Digest. I want to share that.
Yeah.
I want to share it with everybody. In fact, I'd like the mayor to come. We want the mayor to come.
Okay.
Because he's wearing another hat. He wants to run for office again.
Oregon Voters Digest is
Yep.
heavy.
Yep.
Really is.
Yeah, come on, Oregon Voters Digest, and you will definitely be given the time.
You've been around a while.
Oh, yes, and I'm going to make sure I'm fair with these folks. Because if you got something that will better our way of life, I'm going to make sure you're given, in fact, you might give you extra time just to make sure, you know, and that's where that extra time comes from the standpoint we'll talk before you come on the show.
Right.
To kind of give you some sense of the format. This is not trying to tell you what to do, but it's so important that if you're gonna run for office effectively, that the people need to know that you know what you're talking about, and it's going to hit them, so that when they get out there to look at your name when you get that mail ballot, they're going to recognize that name to that issue.
Okay.
That makes sense? It look like we got about what we got now? We still got
We're
some
just
time.
about there.
We still got some time. We still got we got about another minute, right? You still got about another minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we got about another minute.
Time to
Okay.
thank the crew, that's for sure.
Yeah, good. Well, like I said, that's about the size of anything else on your mind? Now that you got me in here, what are you going to do?
Okay.
But anyway, I'm going to do the best I can during this particular time, and that's the primary. And just like anything else,
And you'll be running.
I'll be running, and I'll be doing it and talking about it. But most important, pick up that phone and call that number, 503-701-0457. That's me, Oregon Voters Digest. And Rich's number is what? What was that number, Rich?
503-232-4142.
There you go. Now you got it.
Right.
That's our show for the night, Rich.
And to get on here.
To get on here. Well, that's right there.
That's right.
So you got both of the numbers, you got both of the guys. And Rich is just as committed as I am to making sure that this community media,
No.
got me?
Right.
And then once you get on here for free, you can post that to anybody and everybody you know, because it's on YouTube.